So let's begin. When training camp starts, the Deshaun Watson headlines, or the Deshaun headline Watson, will read what, Charean?
I think it's going to be he's placed on the commissioner exempt list, Mike, until they resolve the cases, and however long that's going to be. And that buys them time until the cases are resolved, or maybe he decides to pay them all off, which at this point is going to be a lot more money than it was at $100,000 for each case, and 18 of those had agreed to take $100,000. It's going to be a lot more than that now for him to settle these cases, Mike. But I do think he's going to be placed on paid leave, despite what the commissioner said in March at the owners' meetings. I think things have changed enough that that's going to be the case.
Hey, look, I agree with you. And there's some Browns fans out there who are put in the awkward spot of trying to have to defend this guy. And it's one of the reasons why I think he should have settled the cases from the moment he was traded there, so Browns fans didn't have to try to defend Deshaun Watson blindly. They say I'm trying to speak it into existence. No, it's the only way out of this mess for the NFL right now, because they don't know how many more lawsuits there are going to be. It buys them time. And to the extent that Deshaun Watson says, I want to clear my name by focusing on this legal process, focus on it. Don't play football. Right now, no trials between August 1 and March 1. Well, if you're not playing football, you got time to knock out half of these cases, maybe. No, I don't know that you can get half of them done, especially with courts having their schedule set. But give him time to resolve these cases, because I think he will resolve the cases. And secondly, they don't have to worry about the disciplinary officer when it comes to paid leave. The commissioner makes that decision completely on his own with no real appeal rights of any kind for the player. Baker Mayfield will be a what, Charean, when training camp opens?
I still think this is headed toward Baker Mayfield being traded to the Panthers, Mike, and I think he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers on opening day this year. I think he's going to win that job despite it being so late in the process. He would be the best candidate for the job, the most experienced, the best resume of any of those guys, including Sam Darnold, if he would remain there with the Panthers. So I think he's going to end up with the Panthers, and I think he's going to be their starting quarterback on day one.
You know, I think so as well, because the Browns are not going to want to play a game with Baker Mayfield where, you know, we're going to keep your rights, we're going to squat on you, we're going to wait for some quarterback to get injured, and maybe we're going to hold you all the way through the trade deadline. He needs to go someplace where he has a chance from the start of training camp, when he's healthy, when he's cleared, when he's ready to go, to get ready and have a great season and set himself up for a big contract next year. It's not about the 18.8 this year. He's getting that one way or the other. It's about setting himself up for next year. So I agree they're going to find a way to work that out. And they don't, I think, hold out any hope of him. And I don't even know if they want him to be the guy if Deshaun Watson's not available in 2022. So it looks like, in our estimation, both will not be available to the Browns for this season unless Watson would settle his cases quickly and then serve a suspension and return at some point before the end of the year. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo will be a what, Charean?
Well, I think his situation is different, Mike. I think he's going to be with the 49ers, and I think he's going to be with the 49ers until a major injury happens to some starting quarterback in the league. And the reason is because of that shoulder injury. I mean, the 49ers have talked openly about that. They were ready to trade him, and they had some interest in him until he goes and has that surgery on his shoulder. And until he shows he can throw the football and be the guy that he's been the past few years for the 49ers, then I don't think anybody's going to be willing to give up what it would take to get Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think he's going to remain with the 49ers at least into training camp so they can see him throw a little bit and what he can do. And then there's a major injury, I think he's traded somewhere else. And that may be into the season too, Mike. I don't discount that. But I think they do trade him at some point. I just don't think it's going to be before training camp starts.
See, I think he will be cut not long into training camp, if he even shows up at training camp. And they won't carry him into the regular season at a $25 million salary. And his salary isn't guaranteed until week 1 rolls around. I think he's trying to avoid the worst-case scenario of being there for training camp in the preseason, and then at the end of the preseason, they say to him, well, you know, Trey Lance is our guy. He's proven it. We can't pay you $25 million. So we're going to cut you unless you take $8 million. Just, I'm throwing out a number that would be a fair backup payment to Jimmy Garoppolo. What's his other choice at that point? Because by then all the other depth charts are set. I think he will be, and this is a guess. This is just a guess, hunch, whatever. I think he'll be a member of the Houston Texans not long into training camp. Maybe not day one, but I think he'll be on the Texans, let's say by August 1.
Wow, that would be interesting to have Jimmy Garoppolo there in Houston. And I like that roster, so if they have the veteran quarterback, I like Davis Mills too, but if you have Jimmy Garoppolo, who's more proven than Davis Mills, maybe you go win some games this year.
I think Garoppolo can be the difference between a 4-win team and a 9-win team. I think he can. The question is, are they interested in doing that, or are they kind of slowly tanking toward whatever franchise quarterback they get? Last one, Kyler Murray's, Charean's favorite NFL player, contract situation will be what when training camp opens?
I think it's going to be resolved simply because I think it has to be resolved. They can't take a chance on Kyler Murray holding out, which he could do into training camp, into the season. I think they get this thing done. They're going to pay more than they want to pay, but that's what the market is right now, Mike. They've got to do that, and they've got to get this done.
I think they will get it done, and I think that Murray's expectations will be softened by the fact that it was out there pre-draft. That at least there was an opportunity. There was an opening. If somebody really wanted to try to get Kyler Murray, they could have, and I think it was crickets. I think that may have caused Kyler Murray to reassess what his value really is, given the inherent limitations to his game by virtue of the fact that he's 5'10". So I think that they'll get a deal done that is a win-win that may not be what he thought he was going to get, but he's now better equipped to make that decision because it's not like the Broncos came after him. They went after Russell Wilson, for example. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. When we return and get closer and closer to the end of our run, at least for 5 weeks, we're going to do a draft of the things that we will be watching on TV or maybe elsewhere during our 5 weeks off. We'll do that right after this on PFT Live.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.